One, two.
Always have energy.
Hey, welcome to Talking Big Uglies. This is our third episode. We want to give a special shout out to Tone Drone Productions, Miss Denise and Tone for the production and the direction in which this program is being ran on. So special shout out to them. I really appreciate them. And today, before we get started, make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, man. And we're gonna be talking a lot of football and more. You know, um, just to enlighten some of the people that just want to be enlightened to what we got going on, and just trying to like kick the football Jones until until football really get kicked off. But today we got special guest, one of the smartest guys I know, man. Young coaches is Coach Kennard Brown, and I coached him at Poly years ago, and he turned out to be one of the greats, and graduated from University of Pittsburgh, and real smart guy, and I learned a lot from him. So let's give a warm welcome to Coach Kennard Brown. Coach Brown,
What's up, Coach Said?
how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How you doing, Coach?
Good. Hey, give him a little synopsis of yourself, and before we get started.
Well, my name Kennard Brown. Graduated from Poly. Went on to the University of Pittsburgh, where I studied business, double bachelor's degree. Kind of ended my football career. Got intertwined with a couple guys and started learning a little bit about film, breaking down film. I seen them breaking down film in the back of the class. Kind of got in with those guys. Got an opportunity to kind of intertwine with the athletic program. Um, then came back to Maryland when my mom got sick, and Coach Said gave me the first opportunity to coach at Ben Franklin in 2014, right? Coach Said 2015,
Yep,
and
yep, yep.
we've been
Mm-hmm.
rocking and rolling since. So, been there, Ben Franklin, Newtown, Concordia, Northeast, been all over the place. The FAU stuff, just been all over the place, Coach. So I just from the youth league to college varsity coaching, it's been an amazing journey, and I appreciate you for giving me my first opportunity to be great.
Absolutely, man, and I appreciate you. But we're gonna jump right in, though, Coach KB, and I heard it's rumors to disband reclassification with these young guys in high school, and so what are your thoughts on if they disband reclassification? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a multi-pronged thought that I have. I think it's it's up to the parents, but I also believe as coaches and as people that are looking to build football organizations, we must offer the option to develop the players. So we must learn to market that strategy. I think one of the big things is now is social media, and one of the big attractors to players or detractors from players or enhancers of program or dissuaders of programs is your social media presence, and all of that simply is marketing. So I think knowing that fact, coaches need to understand how that marketing can impact them and should impact them for the positive, right? In this
Mm.
reclassification field. Secondarily, right underneath that, you have to build a developmental program. So that means that you have to search coaches, find your coaches, and develop your coaches, making sure that they're on what they need to be on as far as their responsibilities as far as the football program.
So
And that, mhm.
what about the physicality of the kid? Meaning, like, are we gonna give him a chance to grow and maybe his GPA? What are your thought processes on that as far as the physicality? measurables and the GPA standpoint?
I think that should also be a plan. I think whenever you have an organizational plan, you should have a plan for everybody starting from ground zero. I mean, you started my coaching career, right? You have to assume that nobody knows anything, right? No one has, lifted a weight. So I think you should build your weight room program assuming that some of your players haven't lifted. So if they have lifted, the expectation you have them on a different program, right? But it starts with preparation. You have to be prepared. This is a thing, and I think just being prepared for the situation would allow you to do that. But you know, growing up and playing under Coach Roger Wren, he said, well, and I've seen through my playing career, lifting weights prevents injuries, right? So just encouraging the lifting weights, and then not only just lifting weight, the Olympic lifts, still finding a way to encourage that to prevent injuries and, development in the kids. So it's a multi-pronged thing. That's why it's important for you not to just look for football guys, but you should look for development of men that are looking to not only just enhance, the football aspect of a guy, but their mental part and their physical part. Because as we know, the stats of every person on our football team going on to play college is not high. We don't need to sell that to our kids, right? And that just goes from the top down. But that's a whole nother whole nother thing, Coach.
Yeah, but so what do you think that from the youth league standpoint
Hmm.
that the youth league will have some bearing on the kids kind of getting better, so therefore they wouldn't have to
Yes.
maybe reclassify if they was
I,
teaching to prepare them kids for the high school level and not going to Florida and winning a freaking championship. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, when the high schools come to the practice facility, I know when I was coaching youth league, not one high school asked the kid what the record was. They could give a rat's ass what the record was. They wanted that particular kid to play for their program. So do you think the youth leagues program have a responsibility in that process?
uh, as you know, playing under Coach Wren and just having a kind of a certain background, upbringing, I just believe leadership is that you have to lead from the top. And what is that? Organizational director, like an organizational director, he needs to set that vision. There needs to be a partnership with the collegiate program where we're scheduling our practices. We're not just doing those things. We need to, if our coaches don't know it, we need to get a program that they're investing their time to learn it, or they're not a part of the program. I mean, it just doesn't need to be a program. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it doesn't just need to be a situation where the coach is just on the staff or in the program for years and not getting better themselves. It should be an evaluation from the program director. This is my expectation because I want to build a pipeline that my kids are marketable to this high school, and it's not just their athletics. It could be their intelligence, and there's different avenues for different players. Just you just have to have the vision and have those tenets. I agree. The youth leagues have to have a community organized vision, but also they need to set a standard of this is the standard of athletes we consistently put out. And that comes with leadership.
Mm, mm, mm. So what is your philosophy? Because I've been in the game for a long time, and I know I get some of my advice from you, and we talk ball, and and some of our thoughts might not mesh,
Yeah.
but I think most of them do. So my question to you is, what is your philosophy on O line play? What is your philosophy?
My philosophy. So the way I look at it is my philosophy is what do you see, what to expect from my unit whenever I am a part of an organization. Whatever, high school, wherever I could show up. My philosophy is a hard working, cohesive group that is going to be aggressive and physical, yet be understanding how to win. Have football IQ, understand how to win. Every time. It doesn't matter whether big, small, they're going to be physical, they're going to be aggressive, they're going to work hard, they're going to work together, and they're not going to be they're not going to contribute to losing.
Mm. So
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 that's my philosophy.
so would you consider your unit being the best unit in the team or in the process of the whole organization? Do you consider your offensive line unit to be the best, or would you want them to be the best?
Absolutely. It's so interesting. I do. We should take pride in our guys. We should market our guys. We should find ways for our guys to stand out because they don't get a stat outside of sack, right? And that's a unit stat, really. They put it on a one person, but it's a unit stat. They don't get any
Hmm.
positive stats. So you should find ways to celebrate your guys and try to make sure that they're the best. Find out, ways to get them some film on a certain block, take them a certain technique. I believe that the offensive line is the engine to the car. I believe the offensive line is the brains, a part of the brain, the CPU of, your team. They're able to handle any adaptations that may occur. Any blitzes that may show up, any defensive fronts. They're able to withstand that, and they're the same five guys, so they're built to last. They are tough, and just speaking on a broader sense, if we can be honest, some of the offensive line outside of the football field are the most successful people in the world. They're the most happiest people in the world. They're the most
Yes,
successful businesses. They're the best husbands. They're the best fathers. They're the best
yes,
community leaders, right? Because they are
yes.
selfless just in what they do, and that should be elevated in the game. It shouldn't be denigrated, and I think that matters.
Well, during the draft process, the NFL draft, they say that that Wonderlic test. They say that the offensive line always score the highest on that Wonderlic test, and
Absolutely,
that's a
absolutely,
fact, real. Yeah.
absolutely.
So,
And
but what do you do to create the culture uh to, to, to make these guys, because we don't have, and I spoke about this last week, we really don't have a spokesperson. Like, we don't have the John Maddens anymore, and the Keith Jacksons from the late '80s, early '90s. We don't have them guys. Well, Keith Jackson go back to the '60s, but we don't have them guys anymore. So to speak on the O-line's prowess. So what do we do to kind of get that culture within your program or whatever program you coaching in the offensive line? What do you do to build that camaraderie and that culture?
Oh man, it goes back to what your core tenets are, and just your philosophy as an offensive lineman. So, me, coach, when we played, I wasn't your ordinary player, right? And I'm thankful. I think God blessed me, coach. I mean, being able to play under Coach Rank because he wasn't your ordinary coach. So it kind of gave me a certain mindset to be like, even though I'm not your typical player, I can still be serviceable doing this certain thing, if I hone it this way.
Mm,
So I think if you have that Swiss Army knife mentality, I think if you have that attention to detail mentality with all your guys, you can build the foundation of a culture that is replicable. So I think foundationally, you need to build it off of hard work and camaraderie, selflessness. You need to build that period with your guys because in the culture outside of the world, outside the football field, that bleeds off into the football field. So you have to build a sense of family within that unit. You know what I'm saying? Said the offensive line
mm.
has to be one heartbeat. So you have to find some kind of way creatively as a coach, which listening to the players, listen how they talk, listen to what they're talking about, build that foundation, and then be able to, you know, go from that point and build the culture from that point. You want to be able to create that commonality, and then build off the physical traits of your guys. So if you have a big group, a small group, a group that maybe, played together for a long time, maybe guys that haven't played together a long time, you want to be able to find that mix and build off the foundation of hard work, camaraderie, and so forth and so on.
Hmm. I mean, because I think coming up, and I'm gonna go back to like youth ball again, right? I think coming up, like everybody wants to play the skill positions, and everybody wants to be the ballerinas. And then I hear some coaches say, "Well, he's not."
Okay. So I think Coach popped out for a second, but I'm not sure what he was saying. But a good point, a thing that I wanted to really talk about on the show that I think is important is just this day and age. We need to look at ourselves as coaches and kind of offensive line coaches, because this is what we're talking about. I want to keep it there, just on the creed of the coaches, right? Being able to just the rules in which we're operating in this space. I think we need to come together and say we're here to better for the betterment of the kids, so that we can get some of these negative influences of kids kind of stealing kids and hurting the second, third, fourth tier of kids. I think those one of the things that we really want to I think it's important just to come together and just have that discussion. Maybe it's not come to a consensus, but just have a discussion in the comment section. You can just drop a comment and just let me know what you think on that, or let Coach Said know what you think on that. I think just coming together and just having a general conversation, like this is the standard operation creed of what we're doing, and we really want to better these kids. We don't want to really take them from this situation. If they want to go to a different situation, let's operate with integrity. Bring integrity back into it. It's not all about winning. It's about the kids on the field. It's not about the kids that's behind the white lines and in the stands. We got to keep it there. Hey, Coach. Your volume, I think you muted. But yeah, I just think while you're trying to fix your volume there, I just think we want to make sure that we're reestablishing that kind of foundation, just keeping the heartbeat back, giving it back to the kids, because you kids nowadays, they can't lie to them. You can't. You have to be transparent. You have to be honest, and I think that brings character back. It should bring character back. Character does matter, as you see. Some of that follow through and fallout is happening in the world. Character does matter. Integrity matters. Hard work matters. Clocking in and clocking out every single day matters. Being consistent matters. Showing up every day matters. Having a positive mentality matters. All those things matter. We need to find a way to bring those back into society, and through football, I think we can do that. The offensive line has always been one of those places where we're able to seep that back into society. What you think about that, Coach?
Yeah, I definitely agree to that. My, you know, I just think that again, when the kids don't really want to play the offensive line from that younger age group, and they look down upon the position, it just makes the kid just don't really want to do it, right? And everybody don't have that know-how. When I'm gonna say everybody, I mean coaches, young
Yeah.
coaches. They don't have that know-how to kind of teach the culture, for the kids that kind of want to do it, you know. So it just starts from a young age where, oh, I gotta play the O-line. I don't want to play the O-line. They got me playing, and I hate that. That's like a pet peeve of mine, man,
Hmm.
to hear that, right?
Hmm.
And that's because we're not really teaching the culture
Yes.
of playing
Yeah.
them five guys,
I,
on the offensive line.
I, my way of attacking this, and I think we need to be strategic in this, and this is why I'm gonna shake a little bit. I think we need to get the answers to the test. I think we need to get salaries. I think we need to start in the little league. Let's start with salaries. You know, how much guaranteed money our offensive linemen get. I think we need to start talking about success rate businesses. I think we need to bring the evidence to them and say, hey, these guys they play for 10 years, they get this, you know, if they do that. I think we need to bring all of the evidence right there so we can attack the problem. I think the problem is we don't know. I think the problem is we don't know, and that's the issue. We don't know the success stories, even though we know this is a position that you can be successful in, and there's potential in it, and it's not just a throwaway position. It's actually a very valuable position. You know, a position that
Hmm.
has to be able to shift and you know, be able to change when the defense change and still be on the field. You are one guy. The defense can change any guy. You are the same guy, right? You can't change who you are. They can change every player on their defense and where they line up.
Hmm. And you
So I
know,
think so. Just sorry to jump back in, but I think
mhm.
part of the solution is also creating that bridge from the coaches that do know to the coaches that don't know. So if that's camps, and I think I see we see a place of need where there's college coaches to little league coaches where we're taking time out to just teach, right? Teach our drills, not just say, oh, we do ladder drills. Teach the coach how you do ladder drills. Teach the coach how you do inside zone drills. Your feet placement. Teach the coach. That's the best way to do it. The way to get the youth league correct is everybody has to get down on their knees and get their hands back into the soil so that the soil can get back to be enriched. That's the only way it's going to happen because people that don't know just don't know. You don't know what you don't know, right?
Right. And I'm gonna take it further, right? So when I got back into coaching youth league, when, coaching my son and them, I had left the high school coaching ranks and went back down to coach youth league. I noticed the one glaring aspect going back was how far the passing game had the evolution to the passing game in youth league football. Like I was like, wow. I was like, man, these kids running smash routes. They, you know, uh, they,
Fullverse, dagger.
whip routes, daggers. I was like, God dang. And um, and that's when I knew I had to have somebody that was a reputable DB's coach to even contend on the youth league level with these guys, right? So what I'm saying is, I asked the kids. I said, well, everybody know when they do 7-on-7, they know what a smash route is. They know what a bang eight is. But if I say to a lineman, okay, let's run this GT counter, let's run GH counter, right? Or how do we run power, right? They'll look at you like you easy, like they don't know how. So now I'm thinking, what are they teaching them, and how are they teaching them to block? For the run game or the pass game. Like, how are they teaching them to block, right? So, what is your thought process on what I'm saying in reference to you know 7-on-7 compared to now they got this 5-on-5 thing?
Yeah.
What is your thought process on passing and run game for the youth? What's that? What do you think about that?
So I think what you're hinting on is just the development, the ability for the DBs and wide receivers to be able to develop their football knowledge and glossary of what they're doing versus the linemen not being able to develop that as much. They don't have that many opportunities to development. So I think any opportunity to get those guys in kind of semi-live situations to be able to develop their football IQ in those semi-live situations is important. Um, as far as developing the knowledge base, I mean, we just gotta get it again. Kiss me. Keep it simple. Stupid, right? That's what coach used to always say, keep
Mhm.
it simple. I think we just need to be able to teach the guys. We got to be able to teach. And I think the problem that you're really identifying on, and I want to go back, the problem that you're identifying on is that most people teach what they see, right? And they teach the product, the ultimate product, what they want to see, and they get some things, some maybe drills or whatever, but they don't know how to adjust, right? And so what you're seeing is kids don't know, right? They don't know the in between, they don't know the details, and coaches don't know either, right? So we just need to go back to the basics. You got to teach the basics, and it starts with the coaches. Teach everyday drills, footwork. It's not just looking at NFL things. It's looking at, I guess, going back to my mentality as a coach. I was an undersized player, so studying Coach Jim McNally and Coach Howard Mudd, right? Just unorthodox guys that coach unorthodox positions. That's where I really thrived as a coach. And I think if most people thought of trying to succeed in abnormal situations and not just normal situations, standard situations, you'll be okay, and you'll be able to develop a plan that you could be successful in. I just think your mindset, your process, you should be able to process. You should be able to process guys that do not know. You got to start with the base of no one knows, and then you have to build to the product that you want to see. And sometimes it's an abnormal path. Sometimes you got to use abnormal words. You the scooch block, something, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. And offensive linemen are very creative, and you just have to be that kind of person that kind of moves with, the scene, kind of thing. To be able to develop those in your offensive line, because everything is abnormal. Everything is on fire. It's a 5-alarm fire every time you out there as an offensive lineman. Nothing is normal. Nothing happens like it happens on the chalkboard. People are moving faster. They're crossing. Nothing ever happens like that. So you should never coach that way. You should never coach standard, because when do you ever get standard?
Right.
When you're on a football field.
Right. Yeah, like when they spilling GT and G8, and you gotta teach the log.
Yeah,
You know.
you should ultimately just go in those kind of situations. GT counter. You should know, and on the youth league coaches, like, we should know the basic block, lead with the lead blocker, ISO, inside run with the lead blocker, power is a backside puller, right? You know what I'm saying? Counter, pulling two people from the backside to the front side. Wham, it's a front side player coming to the backside, right? Trap, front side player going to the backside. You get what I'm saying? I mean, backside player coming to the front side. Sorry. Trap.
Yeah.
You just need to familiarize yourself with those kind of blocking schemes and those kind of terminologies for you guys to be successful. It's not okay for you not to know. It's not okay. You should. The fact that you aren't able to say these and have these kind of conversations, you should challenge yourself to ask a coach that does know it, can you teach me? It shouldn't be an intimidating thing, and it shouldn't be a thing that a coach that does know look it down on a coach that don't. Because why? The babies are at stake. It's not your ego. It's the babies are at stake. I'm not looking down on you. I'm looking at your program and those kids that could be greater from whatever situation, whatever community you're in. I want to sow my seed into that community. That's how I think about it. I'm not everybody, but that's how when a younger coach asks me from a program, hey, let me do something to help these guys.
So we posed a question on the first episode, and I know me and you kind of like ended on it briefly. And besides that, we had Coach DJ was supposed to come on to no avail, and Coach Bernard ran into some other stuff, so he couldn't make it on tonight. So we have time. So I wanted to kind of briefly touch on All-Star Game, and how do you divvy that playing time with guys, deserving guys for that matter, that's on the All-Star team. How do you divvy out that time for kids to play in All-Star games without people being disrespected when parents spend a lot of money and they don't see their kids play, and like, so how do we divvy out that playing time?
I think it's an interesting thought experiment, coach. And when I seen your first episode, it got me thinking a little bit on, like, what is the proper way to kind of handle a situation like this. And I think the claim, right, or the complaint or the situation should come from the parents. I think it should be demanding of the All-Star game, maybe the association, whoever's sponsoring the event, that it should be a structure where my child or I are not sacrificing to attend this event. So it got me to thinking, like, how can I create a situation where the parent nor the kid is sacrificing to be a part of a All-Star game that they're deserving of being in, that they should be, spotlighted in. And it got me thinking that there should be fixed restraints. And so, I'm not sure how you work it out, but we normally think of things, game planning or scheduling from the offensive perspective. So I say, if there's an All-Star game and we're going to have 68 offensive plays, right? I think that the first team reps, whoever has first team, should get 55%. Hypothetically speaking, right? This is hypothetically, my thought. First team get 55%. Second team should get about 32%. And the third team should get about 23% of the reps. So if you attend the event, if you sign up to attend the All-Star game, you should get playing time right then. No matter where you fall in that, it should fall, in that kind of field for me. I think special teams, because the third string gets the lowest playing time, they should get first ranked priority on special teams. So you should see them more on kickoff or punt and so forth and so on. And then the second team, second priority on special teams, so that whenever you're paying to attend the event, everybody gets equal playing time. Everybody, gets an opportunity to play. No kid sacrifices anything. They know what they're agreeing to when they walk in. I think Coach Bryce made a great point. The way you attack it is be transparent from the very beginning. Hey, it's a competition. This All-Star game is a competition. There's a first team, a second team, and a third team. The first team getting 55% in my scenario. Second team 32, third team 23. If it's a 68 plays, players and parents. First team, you get 38 plays if you get first team. Second team, you get 22 plays. Third team, you get 8 plays on either offense or defense. Special teams, we're going to you up. This is what you're agreeing to from the beginning, right? So that means that the emphasis is on the kids showing up to practice and competing to be first team, so that they can get the spotlight of being first team. And it's not a downgrade to be second team, because you're still going to be out there. You get what I'm saying? The parents of the second team parents are not going to be disappointed. In the third team parents, okay, our guy's not as big. Our guys maybe not have as much cachet as some of these guys that are on the All-Star team, but they still get an opportunity to play. And the parents don't waste their money to, come see them play. And I think it also is a challenge on the coach. I think whoever agrees to coach an All-Star team should be agreeing to a challenge as well. It shouldn't just be, it's a vacation for me and my coaches, we just laissez-faire. You should be able to coach a 68 play offensive restriction where you have to coach these guys and you have to make a plan of what guys is going to play where, and that, you're agreeing to that challenge if you're agreeing to head coach. I think that should be an agreement for the coach. I don't think he should mind accepting that if he wants to be the head coach. And I think the parents shouldn't agree that if they make first team, second team, or third team, where the parents don't sacrifice, the kids don't sacrifice, and everybody can enjoy the event.
So, is this contractual? Meaning,
absolutely,
do we sign a contract based on if you first team, second team, third team? We sign a contract saying, okay, well, I'm gonna get this amount of plays.
Well, I don't think you need
Do
to
you
be that
think?
specific, but I think the layout. I think
Okay,
you do need to agree to a layout. That you're agreeing to be a part of the team, and to be a part of the team, you have to agree to this layout. I do agree with that.
so just basically being transparent.
Yes, from the beginning, laying it out. This is the terms of, we're going to have 2 weeks, 3 weeks of practice. We're going to compete, and this is the times we're going to practice. These are the highly competitive periods. You need to be, just be transparent all the way through. These are practice we're evaluating. These are the practice of more conditioning. These are the practice when the scouts are coming to see these guys work in competitive periods. You need to be transparent with it all.
Right. And being transparent, you give the kid the opportunity and his family, you give them the opportunity to say no. Like we don't,
And you can
we
pick the
don't
next
like
guy.
them.
And
There
you
you
can
go.
pick the, sorry not to cut you off, but you can pick the next person in the pool can agree to the contract. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And no one's slighted, no one's disrespected. Everybody knows what's expected of them. Everybody understands. I mean, again, it's competitive. I don't know how these plays going to lay out in the game, right? Again, I think that's part of the challenge of the coach, right? If it's a tight game in the fourth quarter, and my first team got 38 plays, well, I shouldn't play them so much early. You get what I'm saying? It should be on the coach to understand it's a ticker. It shouldn't be on the kid. The kid knows I'm guaranteed to play these plays. The coach should be on the sideline every change of possession. How many more plays does this guy got? Okay, how many plays does this guy got? You get what I'm saying? So it gives the
Yeah.
staff a chance to see the transparent and hold the coaching staff accountable, so they don't get lost in the game.
So my next bullet point is what is your favorite before we get to the canary in the coal mine? What is your favorite run play, Coach KP? What is your favorite blocking scheme on any run play? So if it was 4th and 1, we try and get in. What are we running?
4th and run. So, I'm an offensive, we're a run game guy. So you got to set up. You got to set up your 4th down run. So I can't answer that walking in blind. What was the 2nd down run? What was the 3rd down run to tell me what I'm going to do on 4th
Gotcha.
down? 4th
Right.
down, if I had all my money, and this is because when I played, I would run counter. I would run counter
Mm,
on 4th one. I would
mm,
run a tight counter, a fake front side, run backside counter. That was our play.
mm. GT or
So
G8?
GT or GH, whatever one. I would run a counter,
Mm.
a gap play, manipulate front side, get backside, try to get positional blocks. So I would emphasize we need to get a position, right? We need to dig in and get this certain position, knock them off the ball, get this position. I would create that urgency, every day in practice. You don't get 4th and 1 during the game. You get 4th and 1 in August, right, Coach? You get 4th and 1 in August, right? Actually, you get 4th and
Absolutely.
1 in March when you're in the weight room, right? You don't get 4th and 1 in,
Yeah.
in September.
Mm.
Right. So, it starts that being, but on that 4th and 1 play, you want to make sure that you're emphasizing the right things and coming off the ball, getting this position. It's not about holding. It's not about destroying this kid. It's about getting this position, getting this 1 yard. So counter, GT counter for the win, Coach.
Mm. For the win. So next segment we call this the canary in the coal mine. It's like equating the elephant in the room.
Mm.
So we get right into that coming up. So our thoughts, my thoughts, and I was thinking about this today, right? Thoughts
Mm-hmm.
uh in the canary in the coal mine is what do you think about kids not waiting their time and transferring to other programs? Because I'm seeing that a lot, and it's kind of making it easier for these coaches to kind of poach these kids to leave certain schools and and go play elsewhere because they feel like the guys are playing in front of them. And now it's just like, let's play right. Everybody wants to play right now. Nobody want to wait. So what's your thought process on kids not waiting their time and just ready to go somewhere else and just play right away?
Uh, you know, Coming up the way I came up, Coach, that kind of turns my stomach. It kind of turns my stomach just in general that guys don't, has lost the integrity of, the process of hard work. I think, just people in general have lost the sight of where hard work gets you. And it's not in being in a microwave society and having microwave things is not worth it. I was brought up, and I think we all were brought up on, sometimes, if you work harder for it, it's sometimes worth it, right? So things you don't have to work hard for, it's not worth it. So I think the decision that most kids are making is the looks versus the development. It's the looks
Mm,
of this program. It's the looks of winning versus is this program going to develop me and get me to where I need to go? I think that's the decision
mm,
they're looking at and making. And I think we need to be clear to the parents that that's what you're doing. You're saying, I'm going to a place that it looks like I'm going to be successful there versus a place that I believe that they're giving me a map that my kid is going to be successful. and that might have an input, right? So you need to understand life is about decisions. You need to be clear. It's looks versus development. You can go. Everybody has the opportunity to go anywhere they want to go, but it needs to be clear. I think should be the mentality that in order to bring back successful kind of programs, in my opinion, coming back from, where, playing in Baltimore City, where we were, where City College was an institution, Edmondson was an institution, Poly was an institution, Maryville was an institution. These guys kind of were winning, right? And they were known for pumping out those kind of players during those times. And it was because they were institutions where they were development. They would develop those guys. They would develop those guys. Like a guy that was on there, from a freshman, you would see them pop up there senior year and they were a dog, right? You didn't see them play. It was other guys that play. You would see him a dog on JV and you'd be like, oh, this guy's not going to play his junior year, but senior year, he's going to be a problem. Or later in the season, his junior year, he's going to be a problem. I think we need to restore the pride in that. That process, but it's the looks versus the development. I think we all should choose the development. We all should choose if you're a lineman, that's going against your creed, what do? We do the same steps every day. We think about the same play every day. We should be choosing development as a lineman. We should never be choosing flash as a lineman. As a lineman, you should never be choosing flash, in my opinion, because that's not how you operate as a position. That's not how you operate on the day-to-day. You need someone that's going to care for you, that's going to understand, your mental ups and downs. When you're having a slew of bad plays, does this coach know me, know my parents' situation? This guy's kicking my butt. Can this coach talk to me and get me to turn it on to be able to compete with this guy? And we can be successful in this game. You should always choose the development as a lineman, in my opinion. Skill guys, they have a different dynamic. They have a different thing to think about. But linemen, you should never choose flash over development, because what you end up doing is going somewhere, not knowing who's there, and end up behind someone else. And then
So do
their
you think?
priority of the other player as well.
So do you think? Do you
And their
think
parent.
the JV and then the varsity, the systemic, uh, the systemic, how can I say, like the system should
Yeah,
you think the kids should kind of like just go with this? So if you're going from JV and you got a good JV coach with the same system, and then you go into the varsity, and the varsity kind of running that same system, that they should believe in that system and kind of have the stick to itiveness to kind of stay with it and and get it done. Like, do you agree
yeah.
with that part? Yeah.
I agree with that, but being of a younger generation, I do believe that we should also present uh, alternate views. So I think we should be prepared for all situations. If I'm a coach, I would say, listen, based on your evaluation, your weightlifting, your measurables, what you're going to go normally to traditional JV to varsity track. There'd be some guys that come in that are special. They might be bigger, 6'2", 170, coming in the ninth grade. You're like, holy matrimony, like this guy is unbelievable. He might be fast track. I think as a coach, you need to personally invest in each one of your kids and present them with a plan of whether they're going to be successful. I think it's the obligation of the coach. I think some of these
Mm-hmm.
programs are not successful because of leadership. Again, leadership does not look for consensus. This is what MLK leader. A great leader does not look for consensus. He shapes consensus.
Mm.
Right. That means I'm looking for people to agree with me and offer criticism in order to come together. I'm not looking just to agree with everybody, just to agree with them. That's not a leader. That's not what leaders do. Right. So you need to be able to stand on something, have a philosophy, and be able to offer it to the kids. I think that, just development, guys. Development. Offer the you just go to extra effort to be able to market to the kids. It's about marketability. If you're losing the marketability, you're losing. It's a part of the equation. It's a part of the equation, whether we like it or not now. It's a part of the equation. You need to be able to market yourself. And transparency is the best, the best solution. It's the best way to go about it.
Mm.
You see a lot of stuff that's coming out in the dark that's coming out now. Like, you should operate in transparency. You should have a plan for everybody. And let the chips where they may. You should have a foundation and believe in something. And,
Mm.
that's how everybody operates anyway. Like certain business, certain stores you convert by certain tops and certain stores you buy certain bottoms. It's just the way it operates. You choose to operate as a consumer to go anywhere you choose to go. You know what I'm saying? So I think
Mm,
if everybody makes it transparent what they offer, I think you'll get better results because you know what's coming out of that program. So for instance, like when
mm,
I was playing, Eastern Tech, Coach Maceros, great lineman, right? You knew that was coming. Coach Petrides, where you at in City College, right? Great lineman, great coach, legendary coach. Coach Dante Jones at the time, right? At Emerson, great development guys. He had coach, Curl Washington into Jerry Lovelock. He had a lot of great guys that he was just pumping out of that program. Kudos to Coach. Got love for Coach Tay. Um, you know, all of the coaches, right? You just have a certain mentality, a certain way of going about business, and you'll pump out guys if you're unique to yourself, right? And that
mm,
coach playing and coaching under Coach Roger Wren, he was unique to himself, and he pumped out not only players but coaches. Me and you, multiple
mm.
generations.
Multiple. Like Deion Sanders say, the multitude. That's his favorite word at prime time. We have a multitude of coaches that's coaching.
Absolutely,
But my
Coach.
my last question to you, Coach, and we've been on here chopping it up for a minute. My last question to you is, where do you plan on coaching this upcoming season? Where and you think about coming over to City College, or what we doing?
Coach, absolutely not the City College. You already know that. Absolutely not. It's against my religion. I want to say that
I
publicly.
was being I was being facetious on that one.
But coach, as far as coaching now, I'm looking to get back. The fire is coming back a little bit. It's always just keep my eyes open. It's a couple opportunities that I'm looking at, and just I gotta get back out and see people ball, and just talking to the coaches and see if our vision align. I think that's the biggest thing for me. But I'm open to coach. Got my contact. Reach out to Coach Said. He know how to reach me.
Yeah. Wow. Um, yeah, man. So yeah, this will conclude talking big uglies on this episode, and hit that like and subscribe, man, and check
Like and
us out.
subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Comment section. Throw in some comments. What did you think?
Oh, yeah, yeah. What's your comment? So yeah, but yeah, man, I appreciate you, Coach KB, and sorry we missed them other two guys, but I think Coach Brenner ought to be back on next episode, and we'll try to get Coach DJ. It was a miscommunication somewhere along the line, so we'll try to get him on at a later date. But yeah, man,
Yes.
appreciate you, man, and I love you to death, man, and I want to see you back on the sidelines.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Coach. Well, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for opening your platform. Despite some of the technical glitches, it's been an awesome time. Thank you to your staff behind, everybody behind the scenes doing a great job. Coach, I wish you much success. And then as much as you need me, you got me. You gave me my start.
Absolutely.
I love
Yeah,
you, man.
love you too, man.